The people who we are drawn to erotically act as our closest mirrors. They can be the biggest source of self reflection and of spiritual reflection and personal growth and spiritual growth in relationships. And people who we are drawn to erotically often are the people who end up affecting our lives most directly. So, erotic energy is actually a guide that draws us through life. We can contextualize it as a force which catalyzes joy and connection, as well as shadow work and learning opportunities. Hi, welcome. I'm Megan Vaudry. I am a relationship coach and the founder of Non-Monogamy Coaching Vancouver, and I'm here to talk to you today about erotic autonomy. Erotic autonomy is the framework that I use with my coaching clients and that I apply to my own life and shout from the rooftops, tell everyone about. And erotic autonomy is a foundational principle that can be used as a source of truth and information and personal guidance, whatever your relationship structure happens to be. The scale from completely monogamous to relationship anarchy. Wherever you fall in that scale, this is a concept that you can apply to your relationships. And what erotic autonomy is it is the understanding that erotic energy is a source of personal vitality that is unique to each of us. And when we protect and nurture our own erotic autonomy, as well as respect the erotic autonomy of others, we celebrate connection as a life-giving force, and we allow it to work in our lives in a positive way. So, why is this important? So, I felt for a long time that this binary of non-monogamy versus monogamy kind of misses the point, and focusing on that reinforces structure around relationships. And so if you are interested in decolonizing your mind, if you are interested in moving forward into a new model of living with the earth and in community and in a society that is letting go of the things that currently hold us back and create suffering in the world, then this is for you. It moves us into a place of conscious relating, of using relationships as a mirror, and into relating with each other in a way that can really cause a lot of heart opening self expansion and self actualization. So, the really amazing thing about erotic autonomy is it allows relationships to be really organic and self-directed rather than conforming to a specific structure or whatever. It deprioritizes the structure and prioritizes the people inside the relationships. And it really focuses on a self connection, so like a big S self, and keeping that focus on the big S self and on self actualization and on preserving self in partnership allows us to really express our own unique relational journey. So, also, this can get derailed a little bit and go into territory that we don't really want. So, what erotic autonomy is not is emotional libertarianism. So, emotional libertarianism is when a person treats emotional life as a deregulated marketplace where everyone is fully responsible for their own feelings and others should have little to no obligation to adjust, attune, or co regulate. That is not what this is about. The emphasis is actually on connection and healthy interdependence. So, erotic autonomy focuses on connection, emotional attunement, and collaborative agreements. That's what it really focuses on. It's also not solo polyamory because actualizing and becoming closer, it's also not solo polyamory because expressing your erotic autonomy can happen regardless of your relationship style. And it's also not hyper individualism. While independence and autonomy are really important, it's not at the expense of close relationships and interdependence. So, who is this for? Who So, if you identify with any of the things that I'm about to say, erotic autonomy is probably going to. So, if you identify with any of the things that I'm about to say, erotic autonomy could be something that you will find really helpful in your life. So, if you struggle with self abandonment, self erasure, and having boundaries, if you are interested in using your relationship as a means of self reflection and growth, and if you're interested in transformative relationships and relational healing, if you want to define your relationships on your own terms, and if you want to replace codependency with healthy interdependence, this could be something that could really transform your life. And it is for people who are in any structure of relationship. So it doesn't matter what your relationship style is, it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is or your gender. This is really for anyone who feels that call towards a more self-directed and self-actualized form of relationship. This might not be for you if you are a person who tends to want to avoid responsibility in relationships. So, if you find that the problems in your relationships are usually due to other people and how other people show up in your life, if you're not really a person who struggles to have strong boundaries, if you're prone to isolating yourself as a habit, as an ongoing thing, this is probably not going to help you in your life, and there will be something else out there that is designed more for you. So, what do we really want in modern relationships? What we really want is love and freedom. We want to feel safe and secure in the relationship or relationships that we have, but we also want to feel a sense of being able to follow our hearts and follow our erotic desires and to explore connections how and when we want to. Life is too short to not live it fully. And also, we are in such a, as much as our current era has so much suffering and so many challenges, we also have such a broad array of opportunities to express ourselves and experience pleasure and experience joy. And bringing more erotic autonomy into your relationship is how you can get past those sticky bits when you're not really sure if exploring new connections is going to help your relationship and add to it and bring energy into it, or whether it's going to be sticky and make your relationship more challenging. So, really sinking into this place of self and really understanding your own desires and your own needs from this place of deep self reflection and deep self awareness and recognition of where you are on your spiritual journey and what kind of personal growth and personal development you need at that time, and also what your soul really wants to express. Tuning into yourself is just going to give great gifts, both to you and to your partners, because when you can express what you need in relationships from this place of deep self, you remove the control from your relationships. You remove all these power over feelings, and you start to develop a power with mentality within your relationships. And this can really happen, like I said, regardless of your relationship structure. So, how erotic autonomy, just to give some examples, how erotic autonomy shows up in solo polyamory, where someone chooses to not take any one person as their life partner, but chooses to be their own life partner. That person expresses a really high level of erotic autonomy. So they are going to be able to pursue whatever intimate, erotic relationships they want to at any one time based on the agreements that they have with their partner, but it's a very self-directed place with a high level of erotic autonomy. Compared to someone who is in a monogamous or a monogamish or a modern relationship, there is going to be a control of that erotic autonomy based on mutual agreements. So, how erotic autonomy shows up in that context is you tune into your erotic intelligence and accept that over the course of a life together, developing erotic feelings for others is normal and natural. And you can have transparency and non-judgment with your partner about when that erotic energy inevitably does arise outside of the partnership. Even though it can be hard, you can work towards having a transparency and recognizing that this is just part of being human. So rather than trying to control that in each other, you seek to guide it in the relationship in a way that's not going to harm your relationship and is in fact going to bring energy back in. This is one of the things that I work with my clients on. And having really, the other thing that's absolutely key to this process is having really explicit agreements about what monogamy means. So oftentimes with monogamy, because it's the default relationship style in our culture, there isn't a lot of conversations about what monogamy means and what those agreements, like what constitutes as cheating. And so having those conversations in your relationship and making sure to dig into the details of what is and is not appropriate within the bounds of your relationship, your monogamous relationship or monogamish or modern relationship, that's going to be really key. And having explicit agreements about what those are and coming to a place where you can celebrate those agreements as something that keeps you together and keeps you in a bond together is an expression of erotic autonomy. And once you have those set up, there can be an active controlling and containing of any erotic energy that does arise between one of the partners and someone outside the relationship. And that's how we get into this conscious monogamy place. And that's where we really can get a lot of juice out of these lifetime partnerships and keep that erotic aliveness throughout the life of the relationship. The people who we are drawn to erotically act as our closest mirrors. They can be the biggest source of self-reflection and of spiritual reflection and personal growth and spiritual growth in relationships. And people who we are drawn to erotically often are the people who end up affecting our lives most directly. So erotic energy is actually a guide that draws us through life. And by understanding erotic energy as a personal connection to a spiritual self, to divine energy, to God, goddess energy, big S self energy, we can contextualize it as a force which catalyzes joy and connection, as well as shadow work and learning opportunities. And recognizing our erotic energy as something that originates inside of us and connected to our life force recontextualizes our relational journey away from being dyadic and away from being organic and self-directed towards being organic and self-directed, away from being dyadic and towards being organic and self-directed. So if this lands for you, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Leave a like on this video. I'd love to hear what you think. And come along on this journey with me as I explore many facets and nuances of relating beyond the norms, beyond the conventions, beyond the traditional confines of relationships, and relate in a way that is more organic, more self-directed, and more connected to. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.